Guten Tag, and welcome to the virtual Nürburgring, Germany. Pro Jackson Resende enters fresh off his home win in Interlagos, and Josue Morado Manriquez looks to repeat in the AM category as we head back to Germany. The North American Racing League round number 4 at the Nürburgring is coming at you live here on Pit Stop TV. JP Costa, welcome back to the NARL. Glad to be here with you and our colleague Trey Shellsworth for more GT3 action, especially this evening at this fantastically challenging 3-mile and change circuit in Germany.
Thanks for having me back. It's absolutely amazing to be back 1 week after we had an amazing race in Interlagos. And as you mentioned, it's a 3-mile challenging circuit, and I bet you it's going to provide great racing throughout the field, because if last week is anything to go by, this week's going to be a blast.
You see the track map in front of you, and you can get a good lay of the land, I would say, JP. Obviously, we can see the 3.199-mile course in front. We can see the Yokohama S. We know the Mercedes Arena. But what corner stands out to you personally as a corner to watch this evening?
Well, we've seen in some categories, turns 2 and 3 seems like a possible overtaking opportunity, but I guess the prime overtaking opportunity is definitely going to be turn 1. You know, the Yokohama S is just such a fun corner to dive. It has plenty of space, and obviously it allows for a cutback line into turns 2 and 3. So that's probably going to be the best line to probably take a look at.
Now, the world record here is a 1:28.139. I can tell you we're almost 30 seconds off of Max Verstappen's world record time here with Red Bull in F1 last season. But we are still turning some pretty good times. We want to welcome you back, of course, to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter platforms this evening. Once again, we're glad to be here with you from the virtual Nürburgring, Germany. Round 4 is sure to help further evolve our point structure with Resende right back on top in pro competition. Win number 2 on the season now, JP, puts Jackson Resende in a pretty solid position, but only 4 points back to Scott Reister, who was very strong last week.
Yeah, exactly. Last week was such an amazing race between those two, and well, as you mentioned, only 4 points between them. You know, it's just so close, and some of the other guys can show just how close this field is. Fabio Zamperlini was 3rd coming after Road Atlanta, and right now he finds himself in 8th. So the points are so close. One bad race can really throw you off, and one good race can really throw you back in the championship hunt.
If you flip on over to the AM category, Joshua Benjamin, he's got his 1 win. Blake Scott, his win as well. Josue Manriquez comes in at 7th place after his win last week at Interlagos. Sounds like it was a home win for him as well. He moves up in front of Leslie, Braun, Ranieri, and more, up now into, again, that 7th position. He's got a few more points to guys like Chad Klinger, Federico Tamayo, and William Coffey, but is certainly putting himself, I think, in the championship conversation very early in this, short 8-race season. Only 8 races, JP. We can take a look at the schedule as well, but it feels like we still have a long ways to go.
I mean, we do. You know, it's just that pretty much it's going to mark the halfway point of the season, this one in the most part, obviously. And I mean, it's just been such a fun 3 weeks, and the calendar just... it's going to propose us to even better 4 weeks after this one. I mean, Mosport, Suzuka, Red Bull Ring, and Donington Park, there's such amazing racetrack with each of its, I guess, qualities. So it's just going to be amazing to see. And unfortunately, it's going to fly by so quickly because it's just one of those great championships.
Yeah, I say it feels like we have a whole lot left. The reason I point that out is because realistically, we already are halfway through this schedule. Mosport is coming next week, and of course, Suzuka the week after, and then, you know, before you know it, we'll be through the schedule and finishing things up and crowning a champion at Donington Park. So certainly things moving ahead rather quickly. Another thing that's moving along rather quickly is the practice session here at the Nürburgring. 5 minutes or so are left. Here is practice leader Scott Reister, somebody who's been very quick the last couple of weeks. Quick as well again this evening. Look at this 242 currently on top of the speed charts in front of Matthew Dench, who did not show last week, and that's going to be very important for the points battle.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be great, but look at that pace. He's over 2/10 quicker than Jackson Resende, who you're watching right now on your screen. So that is a promising pace. Let's remember, Reister set himself on pole last week but unfortunately fell short on the podium celebration. He actually finished third. Fabio Zamperlini as well, backing up, only less than half a tenth behind his teammates. So the Canon Esport drivers are looking very, very strong. Matthew Dench, after 1 week out, he's in second place. He definitely hasn't lost any pace whatsoever.
Here's Scott Kimbrough in the number 211. He is one of the 9 drivers in the pro category that make up our top 10 right now. Here's Harry Wills and his Twisted Motorsports, Twisted Racing, number 295. The one AM driver in the top 10 isn't currently on the track, but it is Spencer Hewins in the 197. He's there with everybody else in the pit lane currently, but he is the lone AM driver in the top 10 so far. The next AM driver is Federico Tamayo in the BMW out of Florida. Sitting 11th has got to feel pretty good for Federico. He's not very far out of the pro guys.
No, absolutely not. This is a great pace he's showing, and I mean, he's definitely going to be happy if he starts P11. He probably can propose himself up into the P10. I mean, he's less than half a tenth, again, outside the top 10. So the amateur drivers really putting on a great show in these series. I mean, we saw that since day one. And I mean, last week we all saw how great some of the amateur drivers were, and well, this week seems to be kind of a repeat.
There's Josue Morado Manriquez giving up his Ferrari from last week for a Mercedes this evening. Isn't that so fitting to come to the Nürburgring and bring a Mercedes along with you? That just seems like it almost should be a law when you come to the Nürburgring. His Mercedes looking pretty good. 18th quickest so far in practice. I'm not exactly sure where that stacks up for the AM drivers. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 6th place it looks like for Josue. So that's not all that bad.
No, not bad at all. I mean, probably not what he expects after coming from Interlagos, but these are such different circuits that, you know, it's okay. And obviously he's on a different car as well, so it's different characteristics. Obviously this one is front engine, the Ferrari is mid engine, so it's just a complete different monster to tame on a completely different racetrack. So, I mean, he still has 2 minutes of practice, a few qualifying laps, and a whole 50-minute race to get himself up where he was last week.
You can see more and more drivers populating the pit lane, waiting to maybe go make a final run here. Is 2 minutes. That's the 2-minute warning for practice. We are just about to wrap up this practice session. The sun is rising over the German countryside, at least here in the sim. We're going to take a step aside. Don't go anywhere. More action is on the way. And of course, all of our action this evening is on the way here on Pit Stop TV.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of 2 products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back to the virtual Nürburgring in the virtual Nürburgring, Germany. Qualifying is beginning. Literally, you can see the timer counting down. There we go. It switches on over to our 10-minute qualifying session here this evening for round number 4. I want to give a shout out, of course, to all the people, all the partners here with the NARL who make it happen. Race Lab, Tam Livery, and Jay S Consulting. A big shout out especially to RaceLab, which helps you improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of sim racing, and you can start using it now for free over at racelab.app. Free is always best. Free is a great deal, so you can use RaceLab for free, again, at racelab.app. And again, did I mention that it's free? JS Consulting provides custom website and app development, including iRacing League, website design, and hosting. Find JS Consulting at johnsedlak.com. Tam Liveries offers custom packages for some of the best livery designs on iRacing, many of which are used here in the North American Racing League. Used by pros and amateurs alike, you will definitely look good on track, and that is half the battle here on the iRacing.com sim, looking good while you're going fast or slow or whatever suits you in your time on the iRacing.com motorsport simulator. Qualifying getting underway. A big shout out to our partners here at Pit Stop TV as well. Tucson Sound Art, where your picture is your music. Race Pace Setups, the official road setup provider of Pit Stop TV and Whiplash Racing. Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, where you deserve the best care that money can buy. Whiplash Media, the official graphic and broadcast camera provider of Pit Stop TV. And BAM Racing Videos, by a race fan for the racing community. Cars on the track here, JP, it's some 5 kilometers or something like that, or so they tell me anyways, and I think cars are occupying every little bit of it right now as they come around to begin, for most of these drivers, beginning their flying lap about now, I think. And here's Alex Trebor working out of the Coca-Cola curve down the front stretch and beginning his qualifying run.
Now we're going to see the fastest lap times of the day. I mean, these cars are running pretty much on dry tanks. They're probably only set up for 2, 3, maybe pushing now 4 laps tops. So these guys are going to be pushing it to the absolute limit. We know that the fastest lap times may come on the second, but definitely not on the third. Now Fabio Zamperlini as well on his Lamborghini. I've noticed, Andrew, that the Canon Esport drivers, they didn't change cars once throughout the season. Fabio has stuck with his Lamborghini, his trusted Lamborghini, and Jackson has stuck with his trusty BMW. So that's something that, just caught up my eye.
And the big thing behind that here in the North American Racing League is these drivers are allowed to change cars between races. Well, obviously that's a big part of it, but the reason they do that is because they run fixed setups. So a lot of leagues, they force you into one car all season and it's open setup, or even when it is fixed setup, they still force you to run the same car all season because they believe that balances things out. And while I personally subscribe to that line of thinking, North American Racing League chooses to do it this way, and that's not a bad thing. I think it's worked out great so far. You're basically allowing these drivers to choose between a few different fixed setups. That's what it comes down to. If you take the Porsche, it certainly is a lot more lively. Same with the Macca, the McLaren. If you take the BMW or the Mercedes, it's certainly a lot more bolted down, it feels like. And the Ferrari is the most balanced out of the bunch. The Audi and Lamborghini tend to be a little bit oversteery. So it's giving these drivers options, basically, as far as fixed setups, so long as they own the content.
Yeah, exactly, and it also provides, great racing, because we know when it's a one-car fixed series, sometimes the car is going to be at a disadvantage on some track. Let's say it doesn't have a great top line, a great straight line speed, or it's not as great on mid-corner speed, all this sort of stuff. So it just kind of balances everything out. If you know that this car is, let's say, overpowered on a racetrack, you're probably going to see most of the field running it, but at least it's going to provide good, close racing and not put a driver at a certain disadvantage.
Ian Lake, the first to turn a time here in the 10-minute qualifying session. There goes Alex Trebor across the line, and it looks like he does not ping for a time, so he must have taken an off-track on that lap, but that's not the case for Scott Reister, who goes right to pole time.
Well, and not by, it's not a close margin. Well, now it is, because Jackson Rezende just put half a tenth behind him. He was nearly 0.4 of a second behind. Matthew Dench was nearly 0.4 of a second behind Reister, but Rezende, comes in close. Looks like his teammate made it and validated his lap time, because they were running pretty close on track. Now Matthew Dench probably only has this lap time to try and get it closer, because I'm pretty sure some of the other pro drivers are going to be closing that grid, because look at from 8th place now, it's all amateur drivers. And
look at Harry Wills checking in. He goes third quickest so far in the qualifying session, the 295, looking pretty sporty this afternoon. I noticed that Matthew Dench has gone for the Mercedes this evening. Wasn't he in an Audi back in the first couple of races of this season. I don't actually recall from Road Atlanta. I wasn't there with you guys, but I could have sworn Matthew Dench drove an Audi at least at Hockenheimring, so he has at least made a car switch, it looks like, going over to the Track Racer VRS Mercedes here for the 283 camp, and he works down into turn number, I gotta think about this, I think that should be turn 5 and down to turn 6, down to the Ford curve. Scott Racer is coming around the same couple of corners.
That's actually, I'm pretty sure that's turn 10. Looks like they're finishing up their lap time.
You might be right. You are.
Yeah, they just finished up their, I guess, the mid-corner section of the racetrack, just coming up to the, very slow chicane. Very tight and very slow chicane. Ian Lake on the 222 is also finishing up his lap time. We're gonna have to see if he improves. He's currently on P6, rounds off the final corner, comes down to the line. Will he improve his lap time? Looks like he does not. So unfortunately, probably ran out of grip or made a small mistake. But P6 is still a very good lap time. Just as I mentioned that, he drops down to P7.
Matthew Dench goes faster. Rosende gets his time in finally, and look at that, Scott Racer going even faster than Scott Kimbrough. Where did he come from? Goes to the top of the charts. How about that? And Rosende goes faster. All of these guys finding speed on lap number 2. Scott Racer, then Scott Kimbrough, then Jackson Rosende. And you know what? I don't think we're done. I think we'll have at least one more driver check in, maybe not for a pole time, but pretty darn quick in this group before we're done. We still have 3 minutes and change before this qualifying session rounds out. Carl Graz is currently on the speedway. Here's the number 201 Mercedes working, it looks like, let's see, where is he at? He comes over, that I think was exiting the Michael Schumacher S, so this should be turn number 10 for him now, or no, that would be turn 11, now turn 12. Derek Dennis is in the 150 Audi. He's working around the speedway as well, and actually they're the only other two on the track that haven't taken a time yet. Tyler Graff, our paint scheme of the week from week number 1 here in the North American Racing League, working around turn 12 as well. But I still think Fabio Zamperlini has got something. He might be the one to do it.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he didn't set a lap time he's at least not on the top 10.
He's got one. He's 19th though.
Oh, probably not. I mean, you can see they're 2.9 seconds behind his teammates, so definitely a slow lap, definitely a mistake somewhere in that lap. So we're gonna see a big improvement. But look at those times. I mean, we got surprised that Kimbrough went faster, but Rosende found 2.5 tenths on Kimbrough, 4 tenths on Dench. That's something we haven't seen from week 1 and 2. So I mean, he came out of absolutely nowhere. Probably one of the only drivers on the BMW, and he definitely made that work. Now we're seeing one of the few drivers in the Lamborghini. Can he also make that car work? Because they seem to be not on a disadvantage, but on a unique car choice.
There we go from Fabio Zamperlini out of Brazil. It's the final chance to upset the pole run here for the drivers up ahead. He comes into this lap 20th position now behind even Giuseppe Rivas, Armando Bejarran, and so many more. Across the line for Fabio Zamperlini. Where does he go? The driver of the 237 jumps up to P5. I told you, it may not be pole time, but we aren't done.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good lap time. He's 4 tenths of a second behind his teammate. Reister and Dench actually closed up the gap, half a tenth to Reister and 1.5 tenths to Dench. Now we do have the car, the 295, coming up to end his lap. Harry Wills, can he actually improve? Probably get within the top 3. I mean, he finished up his lap, probably doesn't have the grip at this moment in time, but I mean, the grid is very close. I mean, I'm even starting right here. I mean, I'm excited for this race.
Harry Wills does go a little bit faster, moves in front of Scott Kimbrough up to the fourth position from 5th. We're looking now at Spencer Hewen, somebody who surprised us pretty strongly last week. A lot of speed at Interlagos now in this BMW, rounding the final corner, back onto the front stretch, and will wrap up his qualifying run. He sits 10th currently, the fastest of the amateur drivers. Does he go any faster? Well, he's stopping, it looks like, before the line potentially, so that'll be it for Spencer Hewens. He will qualify in the 10th position. One driver still on the racetrack, it looks like, at speed is going to be Carl Graz, who now goes up into the 21st position. He will stop after the line as well. Tyler Graff is working around the final corner, and I think that is truly it. He's the final car moving in this qualifying session. 13, 12, 11 seconds to go. Graff goes 25th to... Looks like that's it. Just a little bit slower there for the 126 that lap, and that will do it for qualifying.
I mean, it was definitely an exciting qualifying session. It's just going to throw us into the race. The grid is very close. within first and second, and the mid pack of the top 10, let's say, is all within a tenth of a second. So I mean, get ready for some 50 minutes of pure action.
It's going to be a wild one for sure. Glad you're joining us here on Pit Stop TV at the virtual Nürburgring Grand Prix for the North American Racing League. Starting on pole this evening from the Nürburgring, it's going to be Jackson Resende, last week's winner, two-time winner, the only two-time winner in the series, pro or amateur, starting from first this evening at Nürburgring. The entire field has got to be on watch for that. Scott Reister starts to his outside. His closest competition last week at Interlagos is looking pretty good in second. Starting third this evening, it's Matthew Dench, who missed last week but was so strong at Hockenheimring, followed up by Harry Wills in the 2.95. Starting in the fifth spot, it's Scott Kimbrough, who went pretty quick there in qualifying. Fabio Zamperlini, trying to recover from a flip last week at Interlagos, will start sixth. Starting seventh, Alex Trevor, a pretty quiet night last week in Brazil, starts alongside of Daniel Tenorio. Starting ninth on our grid, it's Ian Lake in the 222, just ahead of AM pole sitter Spencer Hewins.
In P11, we do have Mark Scott in the 166, and alongside him, Blake Scott on the 167 in 12th place. In row number 7, we do have Giuseppe Rivas on the 271 and Josue Manriquez on the 156, trying to emulate his win last week at Brazil. Joshua Benjamin starts in P15, right alongside Federico Tamayo on the 16th spot. On row number 9, we do have Tyler Campbell on the 233 and the 144 of Bruno Alcaraz on 18th place. In 19th place and on the final row in the top 20, Rob Rodriguez in the 125 and the 205 of Armando Bejarran in 20th place.
Starting 21st this evening from the inside of row number 11, it's Carl Graz, a newcomer to the series, alongside Philip Ranieri. Starting from the 23rd position, Sean Patterson in the 154, alongside Stu Leslie in his amateur competitor, to the inside of his amateur competitor. Starting 25th this evening, it's Tyler Graff in the 126, Derek Dennis to his outside in the 150. Starting 27th, Mike Braun, you see him in the 107, that's an amateur car, with Jack Niederbach after problems last week at Interlagos. Starting 28th this evening, deep in the field. Starting 29th, it is John Sedlak of JS Consulting, alongside another newcomer, Casey Metzger. Starting in the 31st spot, it's the final car on the grid, William Coffey in the 157. The entire field working down to our start. Scott Reister outside pole of Jackson Resende. This is going to be a good one here at the Nürburgring. Glad you're tuned in here on Pit Stop TV. There isn't anywhere we would rather be on a Thursday evening than with the North American Racing League, in this case at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. Out of the final corner, already Resende is on the throttle. The green flag flies, lights are out, we're off and away at the Nürburgring. A lot of drivers starting from the pits, and one is sideways. A Mercedes spinning in the Mercedes arena. It is Alex Trevor in the 230. Problems for the driver that was so good last week. Had a quiet night, but a quietly strong night, and now around in the second corner.
I was just gonna mention we didn't see anyone spinning out of turn 1, which is probably the place that we kind of expected at least someone to spin it, but unfortunately his spin came out on turn 2. That's gonna set him back quite a ways, but I mean he has the pace to probably claw back. And what a start from Jackson. He just waited for the pace car to kind of create a gap and just absolutely send it even before exiting the final corner, and that just allowed him to shut up. But look at this battle. We do have two drivers nearly going side by side through the Schumacher S's on lap 1.
Harry Wills getting passed up, it looks like, by Matthew Dench. I think Harry Wills actually might be trying to pass Matthew Dench there in the 283 car. Wills, of course, started 4th. I believe Dench started 3rd, so it's an attack then from Harry Wills on the back end of the first opening lap. Jackson Resende leading us down to the chicane for the first time this evening, the NGK chicane. I'll get into my rhythm here as the race goes on. So down to the up, isn't it, to the NGK chicane. The entire field goes. I love this perspective on board of these cars and these chicanes as well. Harry Wills on the attack, can't do anything there. Lap 1 will be in the books this time through, and Resende leads the way.
He's gonna be leading the first lap. He definitely will be wanting to lead the last lap, but I mean, it's just so amazing to see some of these guys, you know, the strengths and weaknesses. We saw Harry Wills kind of closing in the gap through Sector 2, but then Matthew Dench just kind of extended the gap again into Sector 3, and now we can see a McLaren looks like going side by side, another BMW going side by side, as looks like we're gonna have a few moves being done down into turn 1. Looks like the McLaren gets it done, does he? Looks like he already has some damage on the rear end, but he gets the move done, and the BMW is stopped.
Federico De Maio around in turn number 1 in contact with Joshua Benjamin, who, oh my goodness, right in front of drivers. What a rejoin in front of the amateur field back here. Problems for these drivers, and it looks like Casey Metzger has got some damage as well. Let's check out what goes on here for some drivers into turn number 1. Again, Joshua Benjamin with problems alongside, it looked like, Federico Tamayo. So this is down to turn number 1. It looks like Tamayo's ahead, and Tamayo gets blocked down to this corner by the 144. That's Bruno Alcaraz into turn 1. Oh my goodness, the lunge.
Yeah, completely missed his braking point. At that point in time, obviously, you're not on the race line. The corner just kind of tightens it up, and we know how much of a hairpin it is, you know, how tight the corner it is, and that rejoin was extremely close, but it's just so unfortunate to see a small mistake with big consequences.
Going back to the front of the field out of that replay, Jackson Resende going to come around and complete lap number 2 momentarily. The first really close battle seems to be Blake Scott going after Ian Lake. This is for the 9th position overall. Blake Scott is second in amateur competition, though, so he's got to get up and by Ian Lake if he wants to get after Spencer Hewins.
Yeah, exactly. Looks like he might just have the pace at this moment. Obviously, it's too early to judge on race pace. Looks like right now Lake is probably putting pressure on Ewings. Oh, that's probably just a small kiss, but that was extremely close. That pro driver definitely braving on the brakes as they come out of the final corner. Will we see a lunge down the inside into turn 1? He seems brave on the brakes. Can we see a late Daniel Ricciardo-esque move? He's pointing the car on the inside. Not close enough, but I mean, he's definitely hitting at it.
He's certainly thinking about it, is Ian Lake. That was really close in turn 16. Glad there was no contact from the 222. Good Smile livery to the back end of the 197. I think that livery has changed since last week as well. Interesting looking livery there on the 197. We took a look at it earlier. The Can-Am Cannons, it looks like, for the 197. Up front, things very calm. Jackson Resende still leading the way, and it looks like Scott Raster dipping into the gravel just a little bit, but he went purple initially on that lap and then got bested, but he certainly got speed.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like Resende made a small mistake, at least on this lap, because the gap was 1.5 seconds before we kind of got away, and now it's down to 0.7 of a second. Matthew Dench is currently the fastest guy on track, so he's definitely closing in. So right now, Resende, after building a healthy gap, he's definitely going to be starting feeling the pressure, not only from Reister, but also from Dench.
You see overlooking from even behind the Mercedes arena, looking across the track here. Things are starting to get lively here. Fabio Zamperlini, company from Scott Kimbrough. Zamperlini did pass Kimbrough, I do believe, on the start. That puts him in front of Daniel Tenorio as well. Tenorio in the 7th position, looking pretty solid so far, but he's got to get up there to Kimbrough and challenge for that 6th spot.
Yeah, exactly. He definitely looks very racy. Some of these guys, I mean, the grid is very close on this second part of the top 10, and you can see Fabio Zamperlini going defensive. No, he's attacking. Looks like Wills at that moment in time on the last corner. Does he get a good enough exit? I'm pretty sure Kimbrough is going to be getting the best exit out of the bunch. Zamperlini just kind of closes the door to get the slipstream, probably to defend well, but right now he's going to be on a sandwich. Look at Kimbrough on the inside of Zamperlini. He's going to get the move done. Can he get 2-on-1? Looks like he can. Look at Zamperlini. No!
Daniel Tenorio takes out Fabio Zamperlini down to turn 1. A little bit of contact. They keep racing, but Zamperlini losing a lot of time while these two still go at it. You saw the move from Kimbrough, the 2-for-1 special down to turn 1, and Harry Wills now is put on his back foot.
Definitely. I mean, Zamperlini was kind of lining to get them both into turn 2. Unfortunately, did not work out. Probably just a bit too wide of an arc. Well, but I mean, what a move we saw from Kimbrough. 2-1 down into turn 1. That was an excellent move. Brave on the brakes, and he still made that corner. I mean, I guess that's probably going to be one of the overtakes of the week.
That was a good one. I think that's a very good early contender for Pass of the Week here on Pit Stop TV. We didn't see one of those this week, but you'll see one on Monday morning. I promise you that. Jackson Rosende leading the field still. It's down to about a half second or less as they work now through the Michael Schumacher S on the 4th lap of the expected 26 in competition here at the Nürburgring. Look at everybody filing through here. Love these static views as well.
They definitely look amazing. I was loving the standing view shot, the still shot between turn 2 and 3 on the opening shot. Just so many GT3s coming into those corners was just so amazing to see. But I mean, the Mercedes are coming alive. Reister is definitely closing in the gap to Resende. Probably the Mercedes has a bit of, I guess, a long race pace. I mean, I guess when you compare to the BMW, and I mean, he's just really in Dench, and I mean, Kimbrough probably will have the pace at the end. So Resende right now has a big task, keeping those Mercedes back. I mean, it's a battle for the Germans all throughout the top 5.
Looks like John Sedlak had problems off the start, as well as Jack Niederbach. Not sure if they even made the start. It looks like they may not have. Mike Braun is also parked so far in this race. Derek Dennis seems to be continuing on. He's the final driver in line so far of 28 that are still continuing. Jackson Rosende, his lead is narrowing. Not quite 10 minutes into this race, and Reister is closing little by little. But right there, it looks like through the Mercedes arena, he actually pulled on the Merc.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like the gap, it just kind of fluctuates. It goes, looks like up on the first sector. Right now the gap is 7/10 of a second right now. So maybe a small mistake from Reiser. But when it comes to the tail end of the lap, the gap is all the way down to 3/4 tenths. So it looks like the Mercedes might be a bit stronger on the final sector, maybe on the second and third sector. But it's just kind of hard to tell in this moment in time. But I mean, it's shaping up to be a very good race. But I mean, it's the complete opposite from what we saw last week. Last week was Resende the one chasing Reister, and he jumped him on the pit stops. Right now is the complete opposite. Could we see a reversal from what we saw last week?
That's certainly a great question. Is Rosende? Oh, that was a little bit sketchy there through the back end of the Michael Schumacher S. We were taking laps earlier in random cars here. In fact, we even took some laps in the Lotus 79, and you can definitely tell when you hop up on that curb that the car gets unsettled. Doesn't matter what car you're driving. It could be a stock car that takes curbs like a champ. If you hit that curb in the Michael Schumacher S, you're going to have a bad day, usually, but Jackson Rosende holding on to things. Meanwhile, look at this battle down to the chicane once more. Harry Wills trying to pass Scott Kimbrough, but you see the blink there from Kimbrough, and Wills will hold steady.
Looks like Wills is not having that move into turn 1. He definitely wants revenge. He definitely wants to keep at least that 4th position for now. And I mean, these two looks like they're going to be engaging on a titanic battle, at least for the time being, because Wills, he was definitely close coming into the chicane. Unfortunately, the chicane is just so tight, you cannot really go side by side. But I mean, down into turn 1, it's definitely a dive bomb opportunity. Could we see someone going brave on their braking? Oh, it looks like not quite. But I mean, this is just shaping up to be yet another great battle on this great racetrack.
Some other battles shaping up through the field. There's a string of 3 or so cars in line. Tyler Campbell, Giuseppe Rivas, and Josue Marado Manriquez, last week's amateur winner, sitting back here in the 13th position overall at the moment, trailing Rivas as he works on Tyler Campbell. Tyler Campbell is the one McLaren that I see in the entire field this evening, and I love seeing McLarens. There's one great reason for it here, JP. Let's show it down to turn, what would this be? I think turn 5, turn 6, whatever it may be, right here. Oh, those flames. Those are great.
Yeah, they definitely look amazing. The car is obviously very, I guess it's sketchy, you could say. You know, it's very interesting. Sometimes the car just snaps and it's really impossible to catch. But when you get the control of the car, it's just so fast. There's a reason we see it sometimes on top split racing. But looks like the McLaren is already damaged. You can see that on the rear quarter panel. It just looks like it took a big hit. But right now, that hit is definitely not slowing down as he's chasing that BMW right ahead of him. And look how close he's getting on the Schumacher S's.
And how about this run so far for the Scotts? He's actually working on Mark Scott, amateur driver of the 166 BMW, and I believe father to Blake Scott, who has won one of the rounds. Oh, that was close. He won one of the rounds, actually, in the amateur category so far. I believe he won the first time out at Hockenheimring. Mark Scott, sitting here on the 166, is looking really fast this evening, and they run different cars. There's not even notes shared back and forth. Blake runs the Lamborghini, Mark opting for the BMW.
And the BMW did struggle on the Well, it looks like the turn 12, turns 13 and 14 chicane. He got passed on the inside into the last corner. Looks like the BMW has no answer. That Lamborghini, no, the McLaren actually was a bit loose on the exit. That's going to allow the BMW once again to get a run, and he's going to have the inside line. And once you have the inside line, the move is pretty much done. You just have to be brave under braking. Look at that Mercedes. He's also brave under braking. Looks like the BMW has yielded. Oh, do they make contact? No. Wow, that was close.
If they did make contact, oh my goodness, wow. That was Giuseppe Rivas trying to go to the outside of Tyler Campbell. I had no clue. I was confused as to why Giuseppe was so far up the racetrack. And here comes Josue into this battle as well. This is fantastic racing for 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th.
That was 3 wide at some point. This is extremely close racing. The Mercedes is trying to find any way past. Can he make it around the outside of turn 5? No, looks like not quite. Oh, but look at how wide the McLaren is. That's going to compromise his line into turn 6, going to compromise his exit as well. Can the Mercedes get a good enough exit on turn 6 to line himself up for the long hairpin? Will he go on the inside, outside? He can go both ways. Oh, they're oh so close to making contact, but looks like the McLaren keeps his position for now. The BMW is trying to join in. Everybody is trying to pass everybody, but they still maintain position.
This is amazing stuff so far. Fantastic racing between all of these drivers. Tyler Campbell still leading the way in this little group. Nothing has changed up front, so we're going to stick with this battle for the time being. Campbell is in 10th. Rivas is in 11th. Mark Scott is 12th. Josue Morado Manriquez is in the 13th position. It has actually lost a lot of time over this lap to, it looks like, Daniel Tenorio.
I'm pretty sure I saw Manriquez making a small mistake in turn 7, but I'm not 100% sure. But I mean, these are also, if Manriquez can get close enough to that battle, he might benefit from them going side by side, because looks like everybody's quick on one part of the racetrack. Look at that BMW. He's trying to find any way past the Mercedes. I mean, there's 3 different manufacturers, 2 different countries. They're all trying to make it work, and looks like each and every single car has its strengths and weaknesses, and they all come together on this racetrack.
This is why GT3 racing is so great, and especially these fixed setups and the card choice here in the North American Racing League. This is amazing stuff. And again, this is 10th, 11th, 13th, 14th now joining things. 5 cars in a line. Campbell, Rivas, Scott, Manriquez, and Tenorio. When does Carl Graz make some moves and join these guys? Oh, we have a spin! Tenorio and Manriquez!
Oh, that's so unfortunate. They were running so close. I guess at one point it's bound to happen. Looks like we do have another Lamborghini. We're going to pay wide into turn 3. And looks like that's a 291 if I'm not mistaken.
And that is Tenorio.
Like, yeah, so it's just an unfortunate mistake. I mean, we're going to have to take a look at what happened. Pretty much just a small dive bomb maybe. You know, it's just such a tight corner. It turns itself into turn 4. And I mean, it's probably going to start itself on turn 1. Probably with a big lunge.
Let's find out here on board with Daniel Tenorio, and you can see Morado Manriquez a little bit wide there, loses a little bit of time. Tenorio certainly on the attack. Where does this happen? Does Morado Manriquez maybe get loose? Right there he gets loose, and oh, Daniel Tenorio, I'm sorry. That was not a high quality move.
That was way too ambitious. It was never open, you know, it's a tight corner. You kind of just run a wide line. But that move was never on, unfortunately. We're going to have to, I guess, we're not stewards, obviously, but unfortunately that was not quite right.
Yeah, that just wasn't a great move. While all of this has happened, somehow we've changed the lead. Scott Reister up in front of Jackson Resende now, and it's just happened. Let's try and find this then.
Oh, looks like, well, that's kind of unexpected. I thought Reister was going to play the long game for the strategy, but looks like he's here to make moves. And, well, I'm definitely happy for it. Looks like this is coming out of turn 7. Yeah, looks like on the exit of the hairpin into the Schumacher assist. Still 1, 2, 3, so maybe a small mistake by Resende.
This is a couple of corners in advance. We'll go on board now with Reister. This is down to turn number, 11? And, yes. So, no, sorry, that was turn... Yeah, it's turn 11. This is turn 12 around the Bilstein curve, and you can see how loose Resende got right there. I would never ever think that a BMW would get past in this day and age for being loose, but you've just seen it.
Yeah, exactly. That was so odd, and it wasn't even a crazy loose like we see on the McLaren. It was just an odd sight to see a BMW getting that loose. Fortunately for him, he only lost one position, so right now he switches from being attacked to attacking. Obviously, he still has to defend from Matthew Dench, who he knows very well, but I mean, this is just going to be just like last week. Reister in front, Resende in second place. Now, will he attack back? Will he save fuel? What's the strategy for Resende at this point in time?
I'm looking through the field, and I think we've just had a big problem for Tyler Campbell. Tyler Campbell now a lap back. Did he just pit that early? He may have, because he was just on the pit lane. So they've not had a problem at all. He was only in for 13 seconds, so that must have been potentially for a fast repair. So something has gone on here for Tyler Campbell. Let's try and explore this issue.
Well, that backhand of the McLaren looks fixed, so it's definitely a fast repair. Now the question is, did he take fuel? Is the pit window is definitely open. We see drivers pitting with 10 minutes to go. So I mean, it's just weird to see someone pitting that early. It may work out perfectly for him, but it's definitely very odd to see.
This is before the repair. The driver out of the Northwest having whatever go on. This is right in front of Giuseppe Ravas. This was their battle, and Giuseppe Ravas punching the back end of the 233. Giuseppe now has held on to that spot and is 10th. But I wonder if Tyler Campbell either got frustrated or maybe got too many incidents and had to come in as a penalty, or if somehow that might have given him too many repairs, or, required repairs that he would have had to come in and fix. I'm not exactly certain, but that is where he dips into the pit lane. He may have just wanted to pit early and get away from that situation. I'm not really certain.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. We saw the small touch exiting turn 11, so he was probably at that moment in time kind of not frustrated, but just thinking about the long game. If you can get clean air, if you can get clean laps, you're not going to be tangled in battles that will make you lose time overall. So probably a good strategy. Obviously, the back, I guess, not the greatest point in that strategy. Is going to have to pass quite a lot of cars, and that's definitely going to slow him down quite a bit. And well, we're just gonna have to wait to see if it works out. He still has half an hour of racing, so plenty of time to go, and plenty of time for these three to kind of get it working. Looks like Matthew Dench is kind of losing a bit of touch to Resende, but Resende is still keeping in with Reister.
And we do have to start considering when these drivers pit. Usually we see it between 30 and 20 minutes to go in this race. So between 20 and 30 minutes completed in these races. So I would imagine the pit window is opening up right about now. So that really feels early from Tyler Campbell. And that really may handicap the rest of his day at the Nürburgring. 30 minutes will be left at about maybe 2 or 3 more corners as these guys work through the Yokohama S one more time. This is lap 11 of the expected 26. Plenty more racing to come. In fact, Fabio Zamperlini doing something we have not seen from the Kanani Esports drivers yet. JP is coming in early. He's short pitting.
Yeah, exactly. Something we see from this driver is just going a lap extra, essentially, just overcutting everyone. So Fabio Zamperlini definitely trying something different. Probably could work out if he comes back on clean air, but obviously he will have to overtake the track. I mean, the track is absolutely full of drivers, over 30 drivers, so it's not going to be clear air anywhere on track unless you're the leader, but it could work out on the long term if he was stuck behind traffic. And well, looks like Reister is building up the gap slowly but surely, 6.5 tenths, so looks like he has the pace right now. That Mercedes definitely looking very, very fast tonight.
While we await pit stops throughout the entirety of the field, from Reister all the way down through guys like Casey Metzger, Stu Leslie, and so many more. Don't go anywhere. A Pit Stop TV side by side on the way. You won't miss a thing.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine you're wedding picture, upload it onto a canvas, and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back to the virtual Nürburgring and the virtual Nürburgring Grand Prix for the North American Racing League. It's stop number 4 on the schedule, the second race in the country of Germany. Scott Reister leading the way, Jackson Resende in second place, Matthew Dench in third. Pit stops are soon to come and things are ramping up. Amateur leader currently Spencer Hewins in the 6th position overall. In the top 3 all stayed out that lap. JP, when do we expect them to come in?
I mean, obviously it's a mystery to see how long these cars go. It varies from track to track, but I'm pretty sure the top 3 will be the last guys to come into the pit lane. Now we do see, looks like Harry Wills coming in, so probably we could expect some of the leaders to come in the next 2, 3, maybe 4 laps. It just depends on how low the fuel level is on those cars, but as soon as one of these guys comes in, the rest of the grid will follow. Now Harry Wills comes down into his pit stop. He promotes Hewins to the top 5 position, something we saw last week from Jose Manriquez. So kind of similar situation, running well into the top 10 all by himself, no mistakes. It's just a good race, isn't it?
This is a really good day so far for Spencer Hewins. Brand new to the scene here with the North American Racing League. Do believe he missed Hockenheimring and Road Atlanta, but joining last week ahead of Interlagos, and now showing that he has got what it takes to potentially come from behind and contend for this amateur championship. Look at him, 5th place overall, leading the way for the amateurs. He should cycle back into 6th, maybe 7th overall. We'll see how things work out when it's all said and done. Recall that Zamperlini pitted very early and could cycle out in front of Spencer here when it's all said and done, but things looking pretty good for the driver of the 197, albeit being loose right there out of turn number 8.
Yeah, exactly. He has pretty much a 10-second gap to Kimbrough, ahead 12-second, and around an 8-second gap to Giuseppe Rivas, so he's pretty safe. He just has to keep his composure, you know, keep his lines consistent, no reason to overdrive the car or underdrive the car, so just keep doing what he's doing and he'll be just fine. Now look at these two. Looks like Resende is just turning up the pace at this moment. He was very, very close as they head into the chicane. Now he's very, very close as they head into the final corner. Could we see maybe a dive bomb into turn 1? He's only 0.2 of a second back. It's definitely ambitious, but definitely possible.
And Resende was never really slow throughout the earlier run. Well, the earlier run, it's still that same run, but throughout the earlier segment, if you will, he was never slow, just made that one mistake, and Scott Reister has hounded Resende so much that he was there in order to take it and capitalize on it. So at this point, Resende is just waiting on a similar mistake from Scott Reister, but we have not seen, all the way back to Interlagos, we've not seen a mistake out of Scott Reister. We've seen a mistake for Scott Reister where he got hit by a lap car last week and turned around in turn 4, but we haven't seen a mistake made by Scott Reister all the way back to the green flag 1 week ago.
Yeah, exactly. He does not seem to crack under pressure. He does not seem to care. There's a big BMW right behind him. So, I mean, if there's someone that you do want to be applying pressure, it's not Scott, because he's definitely not going to be yielding. Looks like we do have Blake Scott on the pit stop as well as Ian Lake, so some drivers are electing to come in. Looks like Mark Scott took a big hit, or at least hit something on that front end of the BMW. He's definitely going to be taking the fast repair to get that car fixed up. And as you do, there we go, fixed up and into the pit lane. So we could be expecting the leaders to come in at any moment in time right now. And the question is, did Reister save fuel enough to go an extra lap? Probably not, but Resende also now a few minutes behind him also saves fuel. So the pit road race will be very, very interesting between these two.
And we're expecting it very, very soon. We're into the final 3 minutes of our expected pit window. Usually, we see pit stops made from minute 20 to minute 30, so from 30 minutes to go to 20 minutes to go. Nobody pitting this lap, it looks like, though, out of the top 3, so we are seeing, again, the race leaders going to the very end of this window. Does Spencer Hewins differ, though? Well, we've still got to wait to find out, it looks like. He is all the way back in the chicane still as our leaders round to the start-finish line. Does Hewins pit right here? No, Hewins is going the extra lap at least as well, so he will go on to lap 15 of competition here at the Nürburgring.
Yeah, so it looks like these cars are running great mileage. I mean, we're going to be saying this just like last week. Probably this lap, probably next lap. But I mean, the top 3 are definitely going to be probably hopping in. The best car out of the bunch, it's definitely Matthew Dench. He's been running on the top 3 all night long. So if someone is saving fuel, that's definitely going to be him. So don't be surprised if you see a double undercut from Matthew Dench. Now Zamperlini looks like he also is making a few moves, not in the top 10 quite yet, but the top 10 is still yet to pit, as another driver looks like dives into the pit lane.
And that's Daniel Tenorio heading down to the pit lane for service from his virtual crew. Looking now at Fabio Zamperlini, who's leading, well, not leading, but is ahead of Philip Ranieri. And it looks like Armando Bejaran down to turn number 1. Zamperlini goes, and that number 237 looking down upon that Lamborghini here. And he's just been off this evening, JP, hasn't he? Just hasn't had the speed of his teammates in Jackson Resende. He's certainly been quick, just not the kind of Fabio Zamperlini run that we would have thought we would have had.
Yeah, exactly. Looks like after that small contact that he had into turn 1 probably hurt a bit of his confidence, probably hurt a bit of the car as well. But after the pit lane, you know, it's just a quiet race. You know, we just expect that those Kanani Sport drivers just to be, you know, on the fight, you know, all the time, and just later on, you know, just hopping in and probably running their own race. So it's something different that we're seeing. You know, we're just gonna have to wait and see if his undercut worked. Probably not the way that he expected, but you know, it's definitely not gonna be one of his best races on this calendar. I mean, it's going to be definitely better than last week, but definitely not one of the highlights.
Well, it's only better than last week because he wasn't flipping on lap number 1, turn number 3. So certainly an improvement from week to week, but having gone into Interlagos as the point leader, this has got to be certainly stinging right now for Fabio Zamperlini to just be having these struggles. And again, I don't really know where this is coming from for him. He's been so good, and this week just a little bit off in response to the issues he had 1 week ago. As we've got a battle for the race lead, it looks like Jackson Resende, Scott Reister side by side through the Mercedes arena.
Looks like he's going to be going on the inside of turn 4. Can he get the move done? They're going to be going side by side.
Oh, look at this!
Going 3 wide into turn 6. Matthew Dench has to yield. That's going to allow Resende to go on the outside. He's going to be trying to get a switchback lane. No, looks like he's going to be safe. Matthew Dench goes down the inside. No. So it looks like we'll still rise to Resende and Dench. Now, I'm interested to see how that came to be. Probably on a mistake by Reister on turn 1, but I mean, that just showed that Resende and Dench, they're not afraid to go side by side, and they're definitely racing.
Oh, there it is! Oh. Dench is going to go on by Resende. Maybe no, side by side. Up to the Michael Schumacher S they go. And that's not going to work for Dench. He's got to back out. He gives that spot right back up to Resende, who is now well over a second behind Reister. Just went wide at the exit of turn number 8, and we've seen that consistently for Resende. Working wide, working certainly to the outside of the track limits here at the Nürburgring, and finally, that time it bites him. It doesn't lose him a position, but it loses him a second of time.
He was way too quick mid-corner, probably carrying a bit too much speed, and I mean, Dench is going to be kicking himself because he got the run. Unfortunately, he just got a bit too greedy, let's say, on the throttle, and unfortunately that caused the traction control. Look at it, Resende is diving into the pit lane. Now looks like the leader is as well. Now Matthew Dench, I'm pretty sure, is staying out. He was saving fuel all throughout the night. If he does stay out, he's definitely going to be in for a shot. Now look how much Resende caught up on the pit lane, so definitely braver on the brakes, and he definitely made up for all that time lost on their battle.
So Reister leads Resende, who brings in Kimbrough along with him. And we're probably going to see Josue, I'd imagine, come in this time. Josue still on the racetrack. He will come around. And if he does not pit, we'll complete lap 17 of this run. A few laps ago, we did see, we didn't actually catch it, but we do know that the previous amateur leader, as here comes Josue to the pit lane. Our previous amateur leader in Spencer Hewins did come in, and here he is already coming around to try and pass Rob Rodriguez, who has now come around and taken the race lead, but he is pitting as well. So Rodriguez he won't take the race lead then from Josue, will he?
Probably not. Looks like, just gonna be on the pit exit. Fabio Zamperlini jumps into 6th after all that pit stop. Look at it, the top 7 all the way down into 10th. They're all amateur drivers. Just so amazing to see. Hewins now comes back into the lead of his class. Looks like Mariquez comes into 2nd. Giuseppe Rivas feeds himself back into 8th. So it's kind of a mix-up, all that sort of stuff. Looks like Resende jumped Reister on the pit stop. So something that we saw last week, I'm not pretty sure, Andrew, if you remember, Resende does like to underfuel his car a bit, so, I mean, could be one of his strategies.
And he's only got to defend now for 17.5 minutes, and this just seems like a position that Resende is more comfortable in. He talked about it last week, where he underfueled and had to save. The difference, though, is that this week, he can't lean back. He's got Scott Reister right out the mirror, and he has got to challenge the entire rest of the way home. Now, he only underfueled by however much fuel it made, for 0.3 of a second less in the pit lane, so that's not a whole lot of a difference, but it is still underfueled for the 225. We're waiting on Dench in the pit lane. Here he comes in the 283, so he'll finally hit the pits, and everybody now, with this pit stop from Matthew Dench, has come in for service.
Don't rule out Matthew Dench as well. He stayed 1 lap longer. That means he has to fuel 1 lap less on the pit stops. So, right. I mean, he could be within one of the greatest strategies. I mean, he was just hanging back into 3rd. Now it's just going to be a question of where he feeds off between these two. Does he come out ahead? Does he come out between these two? Or does he come out behind? Place your bets, because the answer is going to be coming in within a few seconds.
He's already done 12.4 seconds in the pit box. That is a second faster than Resende. And actually, what I've just noticed here is Resende took a 0.3 pit stop longer than Scott Reister, not the other way around as we initially expected. Look at this difference for Matthew Dench. A second faster in the pit lane gives him the race lead. He is your race leader with 16 minutes to go.
That's patience. He just waited out the whole race, just staying back in 3rd place, saving fuel, lifting and coasting, not hopping into battles, not overdriving his car. And look at that, 1.2 seconds clear of Resende. 1.9 second clears of Reister. He was 2 seconds behind when Reister came into the pit. So that's just the difference that you get from just saving fuel. I mean, just sticking with the leader, saving fuel, just not being overly ambitious. That's just patience for you, and that's going to pay out. Now, obviously, he has to, I guess, extend the gap to Resende, and if Resende catches him, he has to defend once again, something that he did in Hockenheim and he did at Road Atlanta.
So Matthew Dench could be working on win number 2 to match that of Jackson Resende now in the pro category. And Dench enters this race 11th of the points, as you see lapped car of Sean Patterson get out of the way, but not quite for Jackson Resende, holding Resende up a lot. Oh my goodness, the godsend certainly for Matthew Dench, but pain right there for Resende, and now making Scott Reister go the long way around as well. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why as a lapped car, you've just got to stay in the racing line. Just be predictable. Don't stop in one corner, because then you end up on the apex for another driver.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you're helping out the leader, but you're absolutely not helping out some of the guys that are coming up behind him. But looks like Dench made a small mistake on the exit of the chicane. He lost a bit of time, only 2/3 of a second, but that's going to be enough to kind of put a bit of pressure on him and kind of just, help out Resende and Reister, just knowing that you're catching up slowly but surely. But that Mercedes just looks like it has the pace overall in the BMW, at least around the Nürburgring. And I mean, if there's one place where you want your car to be faster in one situation, is when you are leading.
So just under 14 minutes to go in this race, taking a completely different complexion now. Resende still with company from Reister. That's not all that different. We're used to seeing this at this point, but we're not used to seeing a 283 on top of the scoring pylon, at least in the last couple of weeks. Big time stuff here from Matthew Dench, taking over the race lead late, but he is a little bit shorter on fuel. Whether or not that's going to make a difference when it comes down to it for the race win, we don't know just yet, but he definitely took a lot less fuel on his stop. A lap, I don't think, would have been a whole second, so he might have underfueled a good bit, whereas Resende seems to have overfueled, at least compared to Scott Reister, and still made it out in front of him. So I can only imagine what's gone on for those two drivers in the pit lane. Certainly not a great run through the pits for Scott Reister, a little bit slow, and potentially something he needs to work on for weeks moving forward. There's a battle further back in this field. It's beginning now with Armando Bejarran, Federico Tamayo, and William Coffey. These guys 16th, 17th, and 18th on the track. They're ahead of Mark Scott, who had damage earlier and has pitted.
Well, this battle is definitely going to be interesting. It looks like we do have two teammates battling now. And the question is, will Team Motors be under effect at this point in time? Only 12 and a half minutes to go. So, I mean, it's all out racing from now on. You're not saving fuel whatsoever. You're just on full-on attack mode. Now, the question is, what will William do? I mean, we saw some drivers last week just hanging back whenever they saw two cars battling and ended up paying off as the two cars ahead of them kind of collided. So the question will be, will these two collide and just allow one of them to go through? Well, question is there. It's just a matter of time to see if the BMW is going to attack or the Mercedes is going to make a small mistake.
Well, the Mercedes here, Armando Bejarran, is 16th overall and is in the pro category. While these are certainly points for these two drivers, I don't know that they're going to press the issue too hard to get on by Bejarran for the 16th position overall, but it looks like Federico might prove me wrong. Here he goes, Tamayo to the inside of Bejarran through the kink, and oh, he's maybe got it up and onto the curbing, now down to the chicane, and Coffey's just sitting back and waiting. Look at that move from Tamayo right down to the apex of the chicane, and oh, he gets turned around! Oh my goodness!
Oh, but look who's coming on the outside. Unfortunately, that Mercedes unfortunately going to be coming. Looks like on the second trip. Looks like the BMW of Tamayo as well. So not the greatest result, not the result that these two won, and unfortunately for them. But what a move that was going out to be. Just sold him the dummy. And I mean, it was just going to be such a great move, wasn't it?
It was almost really, really good, and then just wasn't quite clear on the back end of the chicane. Now Mark Scott battling with William Coffey. These guys fighting for 16th, 17th, and now Ranieri is in for 18th. How about this for the driver of the 108? Good stuff for Philip Ranieri. We have not talked much about him this season, but with 10 minutes and 50 seconds to go, it's looking pretty solid for the driver out of the Great White North in Canada. Matthew Dench still leading the way up here in the 283. It's a second and a half or so back to Jackson Resende, and a little more time back to Scott Reister. It seems like Reister has leaned back a good bit. He's not really pressuring.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like the gap are stabilizing between even Dench and Resende and Reister. So it looks like the gaps are pretty much the same as they were 2-3 laps ago. 1.5 and then 1.9 behind. So now the question is Resende focusing on attacking Dench, or is he focusing on just Reister behind? I mean, we haven't seen Resende cracking under pressure a lot. We saw a small mistake by him on, this race actually. So, I mean, if he is focusing a bit on Reister, he knows that he has failed once to keep him behind. Now, is that running through his mind? I'm not pretty sure. Probably not. And he just wants to shave that off and probably just hold second place to prove a point.
The interesting thing for Jackson Resende is this is the most wild race we've seen out of him so far. Otherwise, he's been very calm and collected. This is the most that we've seen him on edge and making mistakes and getting a little bit wide out of corners. It's not something we're used to seeing out of Jackson Resende. Usually very cool, calm, collected, and certainly calculated. It's not been that way so far for Resende. That's why he sits, I think, in the second spot. If he had really turned up the wick in that first stint, I think he could have put time on Scott Reister and not come into the pits in second place. And I think ultimately that is what holds him back. Now, there you go again, he gets loose out of turn 11 down to turn 12. So just problems here going into the Bilstein curve for Jackson Resende.
Yeah, definitely not a perfect race for him tonight. Definitely something to be learned. Obviously when you don't win, when you lose, in a way, you obviously have something to learn for next race. So he'll definitely be taking this into consideration for next week's event. And it's definitely going to be a big challenge. But if someone can do it, those three are definitely the names. Spencer Hewins as well it's just like last week. We're not talking a lot about him. He's just running his own race at his own pace, and he's just paying off really well for him, isn't it?
I like that alliteration as well. His own race at his own pace. That sounds great there for the Can-Am Cannon driver. Spencer Hewins working through the final corner now will come around and take, it looks like, 5 laps to go for himself. This time by the start-finish line, he's ahead of Giuseppe Rivas overall, and behind Fabio Zamperlini, who has worked himself back into the top 10. So good stuff there from Fabio, getting back into the top 5 overall. Blake Scott sits second in amateur competition. He's got quite a ways, though, to go up to Spencer Hewins, but we're talking about, let's see, somewhere in the nature of 15 seconds almost to get up to Spencer Hewins. That's not going to work out, I don't think. There's not enough time, I don't think, for him to get up there and make up those 15 seconds at any rate for Blake Scott. But second place is never bad. Second place, silver in your category, is still a really, really good day. And Blake Scott is showing that he has got potentially championship-winning speed. He's ahead of Joshua Benjamin, who he enters this race just a few points behind.
Yeah, exactly. Second place is always good. Obviously, it's not a result that any driver wants, any racing driver wants, but it's still pretty solid. And I mean, when you're ahead of some of those pro drivers, it shows that you're doing something very, very right. Obviously, as you mentioned, he's ahead of some of the big names also in amateur category, so he's doing a perfectly fine race. Obviously, not close to Hewins, but Hewins is doing an amazing job, so just like last week, Josue was doing as well. So some of these drivers are shining in their own way, and it's just so great to see. But look at this. Looks like the gap for the lead is kind of shrinking, so maybe Resende is saving the best for last.
It is a little bit, not by much, but here on the final laps, the closing laps, I think we're taking 4 to go this time by the stripe. It is starting to close a tiny little bit. It opens back up across the start-finish line there to take 4 to go, but certainly closing for Resende.
Yeah, exactly. And if he wants... I mean, the best place is just saving the best for last. So if he can get that gap closed, looks like it's back to 1.2 seconds now. So yet again, stabilizing at that gap. Looks like Reister is again dropping off quite a bit. So unfortunately for him, but if he can get close enough with essentially 3 laps to go, or 4 laps to go at this moment in time. So I mean, it could be quite close. Looks like Dench has this in the bag though.
It's up to 1.3 seconds almost into the forward curve this time, and just not so sure for Jackson Resende. I think even if he starts to make up that time that he needs, it's a little bit too little too late, but it is pretty nice how he has certainly started to walk away from Scott Reister. You can see he's put some time on the 242 car, so nice for himself at least. He's working himself into a nice little... I guess a cushion here, a bubble of his own. He's not too close to either driver ahead or behind him, and at this point can sit back and focus. I think that's the important thing for Jackson.
Yeah, exactly. If you cannot attack and if you're a bit too far away to defend, you enter that bubble. We've seen that bubble with Hewins. I mean, you just drive your own race, and sometimes it's the best thing you can do. You're not focusing too much on clawing in, I guess, an unreachable goal of just, extracting 1.3 seconds out of nowhere, and you're not too worried about a car that's 1 second behind you. So you kind of just enter that zone and probably just focus on your own race and don't make any mistakes. Sometimes that's all you want at the back end of a race.
This should be 3 laps to go. I mentioned the points a few moments ago, and I'm going to bring those up, at least on my monitor, kind of articulate them to you. So it's a 6-point gap coming into this race for Joshua Benjamin, and it seems like Joshua Benjamin and Blake Scott flip-flop each week, as far as which driver is better, which driver is worse, and they're never really all that close to one another. In this race oh my goodness, that was a moment there for Resende. He hangs on to things, and we'll keep watching this lead trio. But as far as the points battle between Blake Scott, who runs 9th overall and 2nd in the amateur category, versus Joshua Benjamin, who looks like is sitting 11th overall, 3rd in the amateur category. This is the first time we've seen them on one another properly. They've been close, relatively close at Hockenheimring and Road Atlanta, but they tend to flip-flop, it looks like, for the most part. And this evening, it's just Blake Scott's night compared to Joshua Benjamin. But if you look towards, of course, the 197 machine, there we go, Spencer Hewins, he comes into this race after only starting for the first time last week at Interlagos in the 17th spot. I would imagine this could catapult him around guys like JP Alfonso, Stu Leslie, Tyler Graff, but it's going to take a lot more work than this to continue on his way up. So I think we're still talking about a Blake Scott or Joshua Benjamin championship at the moment, and they're looking strong, second and third in AM.
Yeah, exactly. It's very, very interesting, especially for the championship. You know, it's probably not interesting on track because they're not always that close, as you mentioned. The momentum just kind of swings back and forth between those two. But on the championship, it's definitely interesting to see, you know, after one race, Blake jumps, and then the other race, Joshua fights back. And it kind of just sets itself for a great, great finale of the championship, you know, where one of them has to reign supreme as well. You know, it just one of them has to essentially pull you know, just 110% posture, I guess, gap, you know, all that pace that they have on them. So it just kind of sets itself for a great, great championship finale.
2 minutes 40 to go. That's the 2 lap to go signal for these drivers leading the way. It's incredible that we've gone almost 50 minutes in our top 3. Matthew Dench, Jackson Rosende, and Scott Reister are within 2 seconds of one another still. If this were to go on for 24 hours, I have full confidence that they would stay around one another if they could somehow go 24 hours, even 4 hours. I think these three would stay on top of one another, barring some kind of outside influence like a lap car holding one of them up or causing an incident. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, this has been absolutely great seeing these 3 cars, you know, 2 different manufacturers, 3 different drivers from all over the globe just going at it. It's just so interesting to see how well, you know, a car and a driver works on a certain part of the circuit, and, you know, just that momentum swinging from one driver to the other is just so amazing to see. And not a lot of mistakes from these guys. I guess the only pronounced mistake was Resende losing the lead momentarily. But, I mean, it's just so great to see 3 cars battling for the lead. And, you know, they're not as close as they once were, but still very close.
Another position in this top 10 may change hands before we're done here at the Nürburgring. I'm looking to position number 7, actually, as we hit 1 minute and 20 seconds to go. Giuseppe Rivas is starting to lose some time to Ian Lake. Ian Lake in the 222 is now within 2 seconds, just barely, of Giuseppe, and it was a lot closer just a few moments ago, so I don't know if it's just kind of ebbing and flowing. This gap is now to turn 8. You can see Ian Lake charging the corner there, but that might cost him a little bit of time up the hill to the Schumacher S. No, he actually gains another 10th, so Ian Lake has got this figured out right now, coming up to the white flag the next time through. That was a little bit sketchy through the dirt, but certainly starting to put some pressure there on the driver of the 271. The final lap, the white flag presented by Tucson Sound Art has been displayed. It's 1 lap to go for Matthew Dench.
Yeah, don't count Reister out. He's definitely closing in a bit of that gap. That Mercedes seems strong on the final part of the circuit, and Resende seems a bit loose, at least on turn 1. So the second place battle is definitely not over. The first place battle might just be. So let's keep an eye out, because Reister will definitely try to go for second place if the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, we've seen these guys battle a lot this evening, and we even saw them get a little bit close towards the start of last week's race, but it came down to strategy and then that lap car changing things for Reister. This is the first time we've really seen these guys go toe-to-toe for the entirety of a race, and it has been fantastic. The timer officially runs out, and we officially get the white flag presented by Tucson Sound Art. Now use promo code PITSTOPTV at checkout for 10% off of your order. And boy, 10% off of the lead might be Matthew Dench. He's still charging away from Jackson Rosende and holding a nice gap.
Yeah, Resende definitely is turning up the defense mode right now. The attacking mode is definitely gone now. It's all about defense now. He has to avoid the mistake that once cost him the lead as he heads into turn 10 at this moment in time, as you're watching on your screen, and now heads into turn 11. Can he keep that car planted, hit the apex, and you might just be sad. Looks like Reister may have gone just a tad bit too wide, and looks like it's close. Is it close enough for a dive bomb?
It's all Matthew Dench down to the chicane for the final time this evening. Behind, you can see Scott Reister just following Jackson Rosende into the NGK chicane. But out of the Coca-Cola curve, it is all Matthew Dench taking the checkers in Germany. He couldn't quite do it at Hockenheimring over Jackson Rosende, but he gets German redemption and goes right back to the top of the podium, much like Road Atlanta. Matthew Dench wins at the Nürburgring.
the second driver to have 2 wins just alongside Jackson Rezende. So we do have a battle that's definitely going to have a dent in the championship. Now all eyes turn into Hewins, you know, our amateur driver, putting up a great show, running his own race throughout the night, and he's just coming up to the final corner to just finish off a fantastic race. He's definitely going to be celebrating this one, and I mean, what a race for him.
A brilliant day for Spencer Hewins. He comes across the line. He takes the checkered flag in the AM category in the 4th round of the North American Racing League. Only his 2nd race in the series, and he's got a top step podium finish. Spencer Hewins winning in Germany. Good stuff for the driver of the 197. Other drivers coming across the line. There's Giuseppe holding on over Ian Lake. Blake Scott takes 2nd in amateur competition. There's Joshua Benjamin taking 3rd in the amateur category over Jose Morado Enriquez. Another solid run, but it's just not enough for the win in amateur this week. It's 4th place to match his 4th place overall results from Interlagos.
Well, he'll definitely take it. I'm pretty sure that's definitely a great result for the championship if he keeps himself consistent. William Coffey, after that small entanglement that he had with his teammate on the final corner, on the second last corner, will finish off the race. Looks like John Sedlak as well. Not a fantastic race for him. Definitely one to forget. And Casey on the 110 is going to finish off as well. So fantastic race from some of these guys. Not a highlight for some of them. But look at this. We do have a small battle as they head into the final corner.
Tyler Graff leading Bruno Alcaraz and Federico De Mayo, and Alcaraz doesn't quite get that spot, but certainly pulled to the inside and looked for it there. Coming to the checkered flag, here comes Mark Scott in the 22nd position. 22 cars going to finish this race on the lead lap. How about that stat for this evening? 22 cars on the lead lap, including Alcaraz and Federico Tamayo. So a really solid race here at the Nürburgring this evening, and I'm just, again, stunned by some of what we've seen.
Yeah, exactly. It was a fantastic race. You know, something that always Nürburgring kind of provides, you know, just good close racing, not a lot of room for errors. And, well, it was just another great show for these guys. And yet again, they do deliver. It's just week after week, great race after great race.
You can stick along with us here at Pit Stop TV, expecting post-race coverage here in just a little bit. We've just seen round number 4 of the North American Racing League. Matthew Dench taking the checkers over Jackson Resende and Scott Reister, along with Scott Kimbrough and Fabio Zamperlini, your top 5. We'll cover the rest of the field as well as Spencer Hewins taking the amateur victory over other amateur drivers such as Blake Scott, Joshua Benjamin, Jose Morado Enriquez, and Rob Rodriguez in the 13th position overall. A fantastic run all around. A lot of strong storylines, a lot of strong evolution to our championship battles through and through. The Nürburgring did not disappoint, and neither did the North American Racing League. It never disappoints, it seems, from the Streamers Championship back at Road Atlanta, now all the way through round number 4 at this point in their 8-race season. It's officially halfway now, JP, and we've still got, so much racing to go, so much to look forward to. This will get it done from the Rhineland. We'll be back momentarily with post-race coverage.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas, and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Welcome back to the virtual Nürburgring. What a show this evening in Nürburgring, Germany. 3.15 miles according to iRacing, 5.07 kilometers, and what a show it always seems to put on here. Matthew Dench taking top honors in what was some brilliant pit strategy. Matthew, I'm not really sure exactly, how you got that to be just 1 second shorter. I would have thought one lap of fuel would have been a lot less than 1 second in the pit lane, but you underfueled the car, certainly compared to Jackson Rosende and Scott Reister, and you take home checkers, never looking back from that pit cycle. What was the plan all along?
The plan was to qualify out front and just go from the start, but messed up the qualifying laps. The start second row, that's not too bad. Get to sit in behind the guys, so that changed his strategy. Sit in behind them, start fuel saving from the get-go. Got a whole extra lap, underfuel the car. I could still fuel save even while out front. It was just, didn't really lose any lap time. Just lifting and coasting in a couple of little places. But surprised I got the big gap after the pit stop. But managed to maintain that one and run away with it.
Does it seem like maybe Nürburgring is just a little bit easier to fuel save at? It feels a little bit weird, almost like an oval short track in a couple of ways, but also it has some long straightaways.
Yeah, just in amongst all the slower, windy stuff, you can really save a bit of fuel through there.
So Matthew Dench getting things done. And we missed you last week at Interlagos, so this sets you back a little bit in the championship standings. You come into this evening in 11th, but this is certainly going to boost you with an 11-lap sled and the victory. How does your outlook maybe change for the next 4 races to hopefully get this championship?
Well, last week I was pretty sick, no energy. I was really tired, so I thought I'd just take that one as a drop round, but that puts a load of pressure on for the rest of the season. Can't miss anything, have to perform well, so we'll see what happens.
Well, we're glad you're at least feeling better this evening. Hopefully you're feeling 100% very, very soon, buddy. Certainly a 100% victory for you here at the Nürburgring. Congratulations, buddy. Who do you have to thank? Who do you want to shout out this evening?
I guess I'll have to start shouting out the VRS. They do a wonderful direct drive unit. It's definitely improved the consistency of the driving, so thanks, guys.
Certainly quality equipment coming from VRS these days, a quality program as well, and it works out for Matthew Dench taking home victory in the number 283. Matthew, congratulations once again. Good night. We'll see you next week.
All right, thanks, guys. See you.
Matthew Dench getting things done from the Nürburgring. We'll hand things over then to JP Costa, side by side with Jackson Rosende.
Então, Jackson, boa noite. Bom falar contigo de novo. Então, fala sobre a tua corrida. Obviamente, tu qualificou na pole. Por um momento ali no começo parecia que ia ser uma vitória fácil, tava indo embora, mas um errinho ali talvez custou. Me fala como é que foi a tua corrida.
Boa noite a todo mundo que está assistindo a transmissão. Cara, aquela volta do quali ali me surpreendeu, porque eu não esperava, porque o Scott e o Matheus estavam muito rápido. Inclusive, foi a melhor volta que eu consegui fazer nessa pista, foi aquela do quali. E eu sabia que o pace deles estava muito bom na corrida, cara. E aquele errinho realmente custou muito caro. E não conseguia nem salvar combustível atrás do Scott. Ele tava andando tudo ali que dava ali para tentar acompanhar ele. E hoje, infelizmente, sofri do meu próprio veneno. O Matheus salvou o combustível e na hora do pit ele saiu na minha frente e tava muito rápido. Não tava tentando chegar nele, mas não conseguia. Mas pro campeonato é bom, mais um pódio tá aqui também, é bom. E agradecer aqui meus companheiros de equipe, treinando junto. E agradecer os patrocinadores da equipe, que é a B8 Seguros e a construtora Zimmermann. E agora vamos para a próxima, né?
Exato, e para a próxima, lá em Mosport, bem diferente a pista, né? Uma pista bem mais técnica. Como é que você prepara? Tá confiante? Gosta da pista?
Eu nem tenho ela. Vou ter que comprar ela, vai ser novidade para mim.
Vai ser interessante, eu tenho certeza que tu vai apresentar já um ritmo forte. E, bom, eu espero te ver semana que vem. Ótima corrida hoje de novo e, bom, meus parabéns.
Obrigado. Espero também estar aqui semana que vem.
Até mais. So, that was second place Jackson Resende. Well, starting off in qualifying, he said that lap was his absolutely personal best all throughout the week he was practicing. So, it was definitely a surprise for him. And in the beginning, obviously, he pulled out a great pace, over second place Reister. But unfortunately, that small mistake that we saw, unfortunately, has cost him dearly. And he said that he kind of suffered from his own fate. Normally we see him, saving fuel, but unfortunately he got jumped by Matthew, who's actually saving fuel this time. And he said that he couldn't even save a tiny bit of fuel behind Reister because Reister was just seemingly on qualifying pace. So there was absolutely no way to lift and coast, just save a bit of fuel to try and undercut everybody. But he's happy with P2, it's good for the championship, it's good for him. And well, talking about Mosport, he doesn't even own the track yet, so it's definitely going to be a surprise for him. It's going to be interesting to see if he has the pace next week to match some of these guys, but he sounds confident and, well, he sounds happy with his result.
Certainly reason to still be happy. Second place, nothing to scoff at. A very strong day for Jackson Rosende. We'll move things on then to an amateur driver. Not the amateur winner just yet, but it's Blake Scott finishing in the second position in amateur competition. 9th place overall. And Blake, another strong day. That Lamborghini looking good. It's very clean at the end of 50 minutes at the Nürburgring. How'd you do it?
Oh man, yeah, I had a lot of fun out there. It was a good race. Had a few small mistakes that set me back. I was right on the leader there for quite some time, and I felt like I could have had that win tonight, but unfortunately it slipped away.
Well, certainly still a very, very strong day for you, Blake, and you were actually nose to tail for a while there with your dad, Mark, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
You guys having a very strong day. What was the difference then for the Nürburgring? What brought you both together and so fast today?
I think it was a combination of him getting in the right car, and we actually had a lot of practice this week, so we were both feeling very comfortable around here. It's a track we're both familiar with. We've raced around here before, so yeah, happy with a solid result here.
I noticed the split car choice between yourself and the Lamborghini, and Pops then in the BMW. What influences that for you? And it's actually become hot conversation in the league Discord. How do you feel on that anyways?
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't, raced in a league where we can change cars every week. So leading up during practice, we just test out each car and see which one we feel most comfortable in. And whichever one that is, we go all in and get all of our practice in and get ready for Thursday night.
Well, Blake doing a great job of it so far. Second place in the amateur category. It's going to set you up really nicely for the points battle to continue on with Joshua Benjamin. Who do you have to thank? Who do you want to shout out? Who makes it happen for you?
Yeah, shout out Scott Racing. My pop, Mark Scott. Solid race. Shout out NARL for putting on a great league. And I'll see you guys next week. Have a good night, guys.
We'll see Blake Scott for sure at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park next week. Seriously, congratulations to Blake Scott. Another really, really strong run for Blake. And alongside his dad there for a while as well. That's got to feel pretty good for he and Mark Scott. That'll do it seems, for interviews. No other drivers connecting to our Discord. So it seems like that wraps things up then, JP. And we can move on to results. Matthew Dench winning this evening. That's a big headline here in the North American Racing League. Missing 1 week, but equally back up with Jackson Resende, Scott Reister there in third, Scott Kimbrough in fourth. A good day for the Scots overall. Fabio Zampolini nails the top 5.
Exactly, perfect race for the Scots. Spencer Hugh is an absolutely amazing race for him in 6th place. Giuseppe Rivas in 7th. Ian Lake in 8th. Blake Scott 9th. And Carl Gross on 10th place.
Finishing 11th this evening, Joshua Benjamin, one of the amateur drivers, checks in there 54 seconds back of the race winner, Matthew Dench. But Jose Murata Manriquez, 1 week removed from a fantastic win last week at Interlagos, finishing 4th overall. He finishes 4th in class this evening. Rob Rodriguez right behind him, some 10 seconds. Then Daniel Tenorio ahead of William Coffey and Philip Ranieri. John Sedlak comes in 17th for the pro category. Casey Metzger in 18th, Tyler Graff in 19th, and Mark Scott rounds out the top 20.
In 24th place, we do have Bruno Alcaraz ahead of Federico Tamayo. The last guy to not go a lap down, Stu Leslie in 23rd place. Armando Bejarran in 24th ahead of Mike Braun. Sean Patterson in 26th. Harry Wills in 27th. Definitely not a great race for him, unfortunately. Tyler Campbell in 28th. Derek Dennis in 29th ahead of Alex Treber in 30th place, unfortunately 21 laps down.
I believe there's just one more driver to look at. It is, of course, Jack Niederbach from FTR Esports, finishing 31st, not starting the race this evening. So 31 drivers showing up to the Nürburgring, not all of them starting, but at least here in practice and qualifying and making their way out to the virtual Nürburgring, Germany. What a race, JP. It would not be possible without our partners with the North American Racing League and with Pit Stop TV. Of course, want to tell you about Race Lab, which helps you improve your driving skills on the iRacing.com sim. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. Let's not forget TAM Livery is offering custom packages for some of the best livery designs in iRacing. Used by pros and amateurs alike, you will definitely look good on the track. JS Consulting, of course, provides custom website and app development, including iRacing League website design and hosting. Find JS Consulting at johnsedlak.com, spelled just like the driver because it is the driver in the North American Racing League. Of course, a big shout out as well to our partners at Pit Stop TV, Tucson Sound Art, your picture, your music. Make sure to use promo code PitStopTV at checkout for 10% off of your order today, as well as Race Paid Setups, the official road setup provider of Pit Stop TV and Whiplash Racing. Let's not forget Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, where you deserve the best care that money can buy. Whiplash Media, the official broadcast, graphic, and camera provider of Pit Stop TV, and BAM Racing Videos by a race fan for the racing community. Again, what a race, JP. How do you sum that one up? What are your final thoughts from the Nürburgring?
I mean, it was just fantastic. We're kind of getting used to this on Thursdays nights. Sorry, I kind of just, just all that excitement coming in. And, it's just, once again, these guys providing great racing. We do have racing all throughout the field. The top 3 were battling, the mid-pack was battling. So everybody was just having their own fun, I guess, on their racetrack. And that just, makes everything just so much better. Not only to commentate, but also to watch later on. And, I mean, most part is just going to be another blast. A short track, challenging. And, I mean, it's just going to bring out the best in some of these guys. And, well, I cannot wait for next Thursday.
In between now and next Thursday's race at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, this is our lineup for next week. We've got the Nork iRacing Series beginning their chase at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What a show that's going to be with NASCAR Xfinity Series cars on the bricks. Then Wednesday evening, 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time, we've got the Cars Esport Tour round number 2 heat racing being added to the lineup. An email went out to drivers to inform them of that one today. Cannot wait to see how drivers cope with that dual heat racing down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for round number 2. On Wednesday evening, a little bit later on, but, simulcast as well, is the Outlaws Sim Series trip to the Bristol Motor Speedway with dirt on it this time, just about a week ahead or so of Nork doing it as well. So we get a little preview of what Nork might look like, but we've got trucks on the dirt at Bristol on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Do not forget that we've got the North American Racing League next Thursday from the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. A lot of racing coming up through the rest of August, a lot to be happy with, and a lot to look for throughout the rest of the month. If you want to book with Pitstop TV, by all means, give me an email at andrew@pitstoptv.com. We'll add you to the lineup today. JP, let's talk about where we can find all of these broadcasts and broadcast updates and stuff throughout the week. There's certainly plenty of places to find Pitstop TV on social media, and they're all listed on the bottom for you.
Well, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/pitstoptv, on Twitter at twitter.com/pitstoptv_, on Instagram at instagram.com/pit_stop_TV, and obviously on YouTube at youtube.com/c/pitstoptv1.
And of course, we also live broadcast all of our races that we can over to Twitch at twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV. The same username then as we have on Instagram. It's been a fantastic one from the virtual Nürburgring. So glad to have joined you here, JP, for this one. It's been a fun one. Thank you so much to everybody tuning in across our many platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter Live, and our social media updates on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That will do it from the famous Nürburgring. For all of Pitstop TV, JP Costa beside me on the mic this evening, Trey Shuttlesworth over on social media. I am Andrew Cardinale IV. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Have a great night.